Welcome, everyone, to A Mexican and a Redneck Father of the World. We are your hosts and surrogate fathers, Juan and Ben. Today we'll be discussing how to manage house projects.
This is going to be good.
Don't own a house.
Don't own a house.
And
rent
then you won't
forever.
have to manage
You
them.
don't have to manage it. You just call your landlord and be like, hey, the faucet just broke. I don't know what happened to it, even though, I don't know, something happened to it.
And then they won't come fix it for weeks.
Yeah.
And you just won't have a faucet. So don't break your faucet if you're a renter.
Yeah. Be a good renter and have a good landlord.
Yes. Good landlords are important. Anyways, what is this episode about?
Well,
Juan?
you fixed up 3 houses, so I kind of wanted to ask you some questions about it because I'm going through a house project. So basically, my approach to my house projects right now is like I start one and then it gets to about the halfway point, and then I move on to the next one. And then I start that one gets about a third way done, and then I move on to the next one. So I think that's the right way to do it.
With that statement, how many house projects have you
I
started?
have 322 at the moment.
Okay. So
I should be done in like 2 weeks.
What approach do you want to take to this? What questions do you need me to answer?
All right,
Because
so
I can
let's-
just tell you to
let's-
finish your projects and quit crying, and let's go get some ice cream.
So
Or
like,
maybe we should stop and
let's-
just go finish them together right now.
yeah, maybe we should do the projects while we're doing this podcast and be like, hey,
Be a
this
lot
is-
of banging and sawing in the background, y'all.
So I kind of want to ask you about like your progression because you've bought 3 houses, three fixer uppers. Is that correct?
Live-in flip homes, yeah.
3 live-in flip homes.
Some were deemed uninhabitable.
So I kind of want your experience with the first one. How was that?
It was one of those growing pains.
Yeah. So
It
like
hurt.
if you had to do like a comparison because now this is your 3rd flip home.
Yes.
And like when I go to your house and look at it, it's like it looks amazing.
Thank you.
It looks awesome. Yeah.
I like it, but it's always nice to hear other people.
Yeah, no,
agree.
it's like it looks like it was done by a professional, which is great. That's your quality of work is great.
Thank you.
But then I remember, was it your first one?
yeah,
And there was some redneck.
the quality was not where it is now.
Yeah.
I agree.
There was some redneck things
I
you
was
did.
learning. It's a learning curve.
Yeah. So I
Like
feel like
anything else.
I feel like I'm in that phase where like this is the prior house that we bought a house, but we were renting the house for the longest time, and then we bought it, and I was trying to fix it up, but then we lost it because of the house fire, and then now we bought this house and we're trying to fix it up, and it's like it's slowly coming together, but then some things I'm like I'm just gonna ignore that and move on, and then I'm trying to fix it, and it gets overwhelming, and I was like can I just get rid of this house and buy? But then it's like, oh wait, I got to finish this project. I started this, I got to finish this.
Yes,
There's that-
you need to finish it.
There's that aspect. Of
No
like,
one's going to do it for you.
Well, and not even that. There's that aspect.
Well, I come over and help you sometimes.
Well, yeah, people are gonna help. People are gonna help, but you're not gonna come on your own and just be like, hey, just sit on the couch, eat some bonbons, and I'll finish your bathroom for you. Even
I
though
would throw things at you the whole time.
even though I hate plumbing.
Yeah, I'm not finishing your plumbing. You're just going to poop in a bucket.
Yeah.
And that's all there is to it. I'll dig you a good outhouse.
Yeah. No, but as far as like kind of like because you've gone through that process as far as like that's a big project, and then and I think there's a lot of people out there, they're kind of dreaming of buying that first house or like getting their first home, and I feel like there's a big like I don't know, I guess like the easiest way to call it would be like the HGTV movement. Oh, I want to buy a fixer upper, and then like 30 minutes later it's gonna be all done.
That's exactly what it's like.
Yeah.
It only took 30 minutes and 3 years for
Yeah.
me to do my first live-in flip.
Yeah, because you kind of
I was finishing school and raising children also at the time.
yeah, because you watch it on TV and it's like, oh, that looks so easy. Yeah, I can do it. Yeah, that's not bad. But then the reality hits and it's like, this is tedious and it's annoying and it's horrible. But then when you actually finish a project, you're like, you look back and you're like, oh man, that looks so good.
Yeah.
Did it. So what was the progression for you? Like first house to the house you're at now. Like what are the lessons you learned? What were the things you do differently?
Persistence is the absolute key to success for anything in life. If you need a reason to keep going, it's because you set a goal and you need to finish it.
Mm-hmm.
And going from the first house to this house, things I would do differently is, well, one, you don't know what you don't know. That's kind of the first issue with flipping a first home is, well, I don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, I know the lamps or the lights need to be replaced. That wall needs to be painted. But then when you're like, oh, that baseboard, for example, looks a little rotten, I'll just put a new baseboard on. Well, you pull the baseboard off, and then you see like all the wood underneath that's rotten. You're like, oh, I'm rebuilding a wall.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, well, let me figure out how to rebuild a wall. So that comes with, woodworking. Now you're hanging drywall and mudding it up and sanding everything. Now you're painting. Now you're back to the point to where when you first started 3 weeks ago with replacing that one little baseboard that was rotten.
Yeah.
But you didn't know that it went all the way to the exterior. And so that's just a basic example of you have to be persistent.
Yeah.
If you think it's going to cost X amount of dollars, X amount of time, just go ahead and throw 20% more to that. It's always going to cost more time and money. It just is what it is. Because somebody built it a certain way and now you're coming in and redoing it. But if you have 10 projects open, because I made this mistake too. I had like a bathroom that just needed a few little paint touch-ups. And I just had to hang that one light in that bedroom and put the switches on. I got this thing where I got too scattered and I was giving too much of myself to too many different projects and nothing was getting done. And I was overwhelmed and frustrated, which is what it sounds like you're going through. And what I had to do was say, okay, today I'm going to finish this project.
Mm-hmm.
And so if it was just putting on light switch covers and hanging that one ceiling fan and then putting in that one doorknob for that room to be finished, then that's what I would do. I wouldn't think about anything else. And I had to prioritize my time to complete my task. I mean, it's a big time management game. So it's your time versus your money versus your outcome. Like, what are you hoping to get out of it? And what do you want to see done?
So
don't get your expectations too high.
Well,
Especially on the first one.
Yeah. And at the same time, because when we bought this house, it was such a good deal, but I knew that this is going to be this, like I knew we bought it with the knowledge of like, this is a fixer upper.
Yeah.
And, cause I remember I talked to you, we did a house inspection on it. And I talked to you. I sent you the schematics about it. So and it showed everything wrong. I sent it to a couple other guys, and they told me, it's like, yeah, this is gonna be. And it's funny, like a good friend of mine, Gordon. He's a master builder. Like he taught architect. Is it architect or
architecture, building homes?
Yeah, he's a master carpenter, and then he taught architecture, like building homes in some college. Anyways, and he told me, he's like, yeah. He's like, yeah, this is probably going to take you about a year if this was your full-time job. And I'm thinking come on, dude. I can get it done in like 2 weeks. No, he was right. I should have known he was going to be right because
you're getting close to 2 years.
Yeah. And and I was like,
and here you are.
Yeah. But it's funny. Like, there's such a growing process within myself too. Like realizing like,
yes.
I can do this. So yeah, it has been a challenge. It has been like frustrating. And then, yeah, because when I first started, we bought the house. I was finishing up I was finishing up school. I was taking this course and finishing that up, and then my wife got pregnant, and now we're about to have a baby, fourth baby, and so it's like, I'm like, it's bringing this realization of like, man, there has to be this laser focus on a certain project because we need a bathroom, like our master bathroom. It needs to get done, and now I have a deadline. It needs to be done by this date, and it's before the baby's here because that's going to be very important. So,
artificial deadlines also help.
Yeah.
Just say, I think I can get this done in a week,
mm-hmm.
whatever the task may be, and then make sure you're meeting that artificial deadline. Which really you have actual deadlines now. But creating artificial deadlines was one thing. Okay, I know I can do this probably in a week or 2 days. So what 2 free days do I have coming up next? Or if a day equals 8 hours, then you know what I mean? And you got to do that breakdown. But time management is your biggest, best friend right now. Like that's
So-
your biggest, you have got to manage your time and say, this other thing over here that I used to like doing, like if you enjoy reading books or,
Yeah.
or whatever it is you enjoy doing, like, you
It's
have
gone.
to stop that. That's not a part of your life anymore. You told yourself, I want to flip a house. And if it takes me 40 hours a week to flip a house, you've got to find those 40 hours and give it to that project. Or you've got to say, okay, well, I can't give 40 hours. I got to give 20 now. Okay, but what else? Because this is a time management episode is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
It's not so much about the money because it's within your financial means. It's not so much about anything else other than you saying, I actually want to do this. You know, I'm not just in dreamland anymore. I want this to be completed. Because the same could be applied to, how do I finish school?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you study more. You know, how do I get better at this skill? Well, you practice it more, you know, because this is a time management conversation.
It is too, but at the same
principle.
time, you know, like and it relates to the house project, because I mean, you did it 3 times.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, this is my first time, and I don't want to do this again. But then you did it 3 times.
Mhm.
So that's just very impressive.
I don't know how intelligent I actually am. I can make really good decisions and really bad decisions multiple times.
Yeah.
No, I knew it would take 3 home remodels to get to where I needed to be financially. Like,
'Cause-
I was desperate to be in a good financial situation and to get ahead. So I just accepted, this is going to be hard. This is going to hurt. I'm going to have to learn and fail and learn and fail and learn and fail before I even start to succeed. But on the other side of it, you get that drive, you get that determination. You know, I look back and it's like, wow, the past 8 years, I've been flipping homes.
Mhm.
I've been, well, not the whole time. There was a year where I wasn't able to do anything. We took a break, but you know, it seems like every year it gets a little easier. Or every home it gets easier, it gets better. Things aren't as hard, but yeah, it has to say, it makes you say, what is important? What am I actually doing here? What is my goal? You know, I agreed to this. Am I just going to be a coward and falter and walk away? Or am I actually going to finish to the best of my abilities?
Mm-hmm.
And your first home flip won't look like it's professionally done because you're not a professional. You do other stuff. You have another job. But you can still do it to where it looks at the very least decent
It looks
or good.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, because you got to hand it off to that. You got to remember you're flipping it. You're giving it to that next person. So you need to do it to the best of your abilities, and don't just, what's the word you told me? Paisa. Don't just paisa. You gotta, that's Mexican redneck.
Yeah.
In case y'all are wondering,
Yeah.
paisa. Don't do that. You gotta say, okay, there's going to be a family who might not know how to fix this thing who comes behind me, and
Yeah.
I got to make sure it's good for them.
That's the biggest thing that I found with this, like, the desire to take shortcuts and then realizing, like, I can't take a shortcut, because if I take a shortcut, then the next guy that buys this house, you know, is going to be like, I'm passing on my failures to that guy.
You're giving him a new problem because you're a failure.
Yeah.
That's absolutely what's going to happen.
And then so it's like finishing well. There's something about this, like with this house, it's like all right, we got to finish well, and it's like that's something that I've really been growing and understanding with this, is like, man, this is not just about the house, but it's about, in a way, developing my character. Am I going to be that guy that's just like, we'll just, you know, patch it over, make it look good, just put a little paint job on it, it'll be fine, you know? Because I remember Gordon telling me that one thing. He's like, don't ever buy a house that's been freshly painted. Well, this house was not freshly painted. There was actually no paint on the walls, so like you could see all the defects. But then
You had a lot of wallpaper on this.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
Yeah, a lot of cover, and it's like, but it's like, as far as like, even like with life, like it kind of makes me realize, even with life, whenever there's problems or there's situations that need to be addressed and fixed, it's going to take longer than you actually think it is.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem sometimes is going to be deeper than what you realize it is. Like going back to the what you're talking about, like the baseboard, and you pull that back and there's rot behind it, and it's like, oh, this is a structural problem. We gotta fix this.
Yes.
You know, and then like and it's really causing me to look at my habits, look at my like how am I living my daily life? It's like, okay, what's really going on here? What's really important? You know, like it's the house is important, but then like spending time with my family is important, work is important, but then there's things that I've been doing that's like that's just a waste of time. That's just a time killer.
Right, because you find that your piddly little habits of, oh, well, I like to get on this website and read about my hobby. You know, it's like, well, how much more can you actually know about chickens?
Right.
You know, I mean, it's good to know about chickens, but are chickens what's going to make you money now? Are chickens what's going to
Help you accomplish that goal.
help you accomplish it? Right. If it doesn't, then you need to ditch the chicken website.
Yeah.
Or you need to say, I don't value my kids as much. I don't value my wife as much. But what it does in flipping, and I'm not advocating people do it for this reason, but flipping a home, it is a reflection of where you are in your life, what you value. And you can look at the mirror image and say, my kids were neglected this whole time. Clearly, I don't value my kids. Or my wife was neglected. Clearly, I don't value that relationship as much because I kept my little habits on the side, little hobbies, whatever. And I didn't spend enough time with them. And I missed that time. Thankfully, I don't remember ever doing that. I've always prioritized my wife and kids.
Mm-hmm.
But it makes you, I mean, like anything though, like going to college, you can't just keep hanging out or doing whatever. College, I've noticed a lot of students get out of high school and go to college and they find like, oh, I actually have to study. This is higher education. You know, they're actually challenging me. And a lot of students fail or quit or whatever or struggle because they realize, oh, I actually have to work at this. It's not like the public high school I was in where I kind of figured out the methods and floated through.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's in this day and age pretty relatable.
Yeah. I think that's one of the biggest things with this is kind of like it's a reality check of like, oh man, like it's kind of hitting me like life is, you get to a point in life where you can't just coast. You can't just glide through or like, oh, just kind of fake it till you make it. It's like, no, you gotta do the right thing. Especially if you want to succeed in life, if you want to have a good home, there's been some real reflection and evaluation of like, wow, what am I actually doing? What am I actually working for? Why am I doing this? What's the reason why are we flipping this house? Well, one, because we're at the financial situation that we're at. This is what we could afford to get to the point. And then to have the nice things, you're going to have to put in some work. It's funny, man. Like the biggest thing that I realize is that if you want nice things in life, you have to work for them. They don't just come to you.
They don't.
There has to be some work put into it. Because even if you get nice things, there has to be that work put into it to maintain it and keep it nice. It doesn't just stay nice. So, man, but anyways, the house projects are still there. They're moving on. We're slowly progressing. So that's good. And I feel like from when I bought it, I would have done things a lot differently. Now where I'm at, I feel like, okay, I see that like it's not just about the house, but it's about me. Like I've been working on the house, but I've also been working on myself and developing who I am. Like what are my priorities? What are my strengths? What am I actually, want to commit myself to doing for the rest of my life? So that's been a really cool thing. So I guess the moral of the story is that, if you decide to buy a flip house, be ready because you're not just going to be flipping the house. You're going to be flipping yourself too.
What was that movie with Tom Hanks from the 80s or 90s? Money Pit. Have you seen that movie?
No, I have not.
Go watch that movie. He goes to flip this antique mansion house thing. And he thinks it's a good deal at first, and then the contract crew doesn't work out, so he hires like a biker gang. And then his marriage is falling apart, and like the house is falling apart, and you would really enjoy that movie right now in your life.
Well, with that being said, guys, we're gonna end this episode. So I want to thank everyone for listening to a Mexican and redneck part of the world. We love you and we're proud of you.